Morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Rich Clark, and for Throwback Thursday, I'm talking about films about crime in the future, alternative crimes in the future. And this film I'm going to talk about is from 1990. It's called Total Recall. Now, Total Recall is again directed by Paul Verhoeven, same as RoboCop. And this is a film that stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sharon Stone and Rachel Ticotin. And it's actually based on a 1966 short story called We Can Remember It For You Wholesale by Philipkdick. Now, Philipkdick actually wrote these great stories in the 50s, and so Total Recall was probably something where everybody wanted to see this film ever being made for years. Obviously, Philipkdick also wrote Do Androids Dream of Sheep, which is where Blade Runner comes from as well. So Total Recall tells the story of Douglas Quaid, and he's a construction worker who receives an implanted memory of a fantastical adventure on Mars.
Now, help me out here, Doug. You were interested in a memory of,
Mars.
Yeah, Mars.
Did a problem?
To be perfectly honest with you, Doug, if outer space is your thing, I think you would be much happier with one of our Saturn cruises. Everybody raves about them.
No, I'm not interested in Saturn. I said Mars.
Okay. You're the boss. Mars it is. Now, let me see. The basic Mars package will run you 899 credits. Now, that's for 2 full weeks of memories, complete in every detail. If you want a longer trip, that'll cost you a little more because it's a deeper implant.
What's in the 2-week package?
Well, first of all, Doug, let me tell you, when you go recall, you get nothing but first-class memories. Private cabin on the shuttle, deluxe suite at the Hilton, plus all the major sites, Mount Pyramid, the Grand Canals, and of course, Venusville.
Yeah, but how real does it seem?
He subsequently finds his adventure occurring in reality as agents of a shadow organization try to prevent him from recovering memories of his past, as a Martian secret agent aiming to stop the tyrannical regime of the Martian dictator Violentcrime. Now, the idea of this memory implant is very much what people talk about with Neuralink and the idea of implants in the brain. So this is why I think this film's got an interesting idea, because with Elon Musk, he's coming up with the Neuralink, and this was where people are afraid of technology. They're afraid of people, if they get Neuralinks, they could cause problems, they could be programmed to be weapons. So Total Recall actually was doing this, to even think this is literally 5 years ago this film was released. And so, again, with the plot, it's set in 2084 in Mars. It's a colonized world under the tyrannical regime of Violentcrime, who controls the mining of valuable tribanium ore. So they're basically, the only reason they're going to Mars is because they found an energy source which they can use. Now, this is very much, again, like the idea of mining. We hear this in the Congo, how they mine certain actual minerals which they use in mobile phones and technology. So the idea of this is actually, it's emphasizing the idea of what was happening in the late 80s and 90s, because they still do this in Africa and third world countries, which what we now should call it that now, but that's what they were called at the time. So anyway, can carry on the plot. On Earth, construction worker Douglas Quaid experiences recurring dreams about Mars and a mysterious woman. Intrigued, he visits Recall. So this is what the idea. Recall is a company that implants realistic false memories and chooses one set on Mars with a blue sky where he is a Martian secret agent. However, before the implant is completed, Quaid lashes out, already thinking he is a secret agent. Believing Cohagen's agency has suppressed Quaid's memories, the Recall employees erase evidence of Quaid's visit and send him home. En route, Quaid is attacked by men led by his colleague Harry because Quaid unknowingly reveals his past. Quaid's instinct takes over as he kills his assailants. And at home, he is assaulted by his wife Laurie, who is claimed she is assigned to monitor Quaid by the agency, and their marriage is a false memory implant. So this is about the idea of reality and non-reality, and this is where Quaid has this issue. Quaid, he flees, but is pursued by an armed man led by Richter, Cohagen's operative, and Laurie's real husband. A man who claims to be Quaid's former acquaintance gives him a suitcase containing supplies and a video recording in which Quaid identifies himself as Hauser.
First, let's get rid of that bug in your head. Take this thing out of the case and stick it up your nose. Don't worry, it's self-guiding. Just shoved real hard. crunch, you're there. Just pull it out. Be careful. It's my head too.
I got a lock.
Up. Let's go. Now this is the plan. Get your ass to Mars. Then go to the Hilton and flash that Brubaker ID at the desk. That's all there's to it. Just do what I tell you, and we can nail that son of a bitch who fucked you and me.
A Cohagen ally who defected after falling in love, according to the recording. Cohagen brainwashed Hauser to become Quaid and concealed his secrets before securing him on Earth. Hauser instructs Quaid to return to Mars and stop Cohagen. So this is all this stuff is now what they're trying to do is stop this guy who's running Mars, who's causing all these problems there. On Mars, Quaid evicts Richter and, following a note from Hauser, travels to Venusville, a district populated by humans and those mutated by air pollution and radiation. So again, the idea of people living on Mars is very much something what people have been talking about. But there's obviously a lot of problems because they would have to have everybody in containers, and there's all this sort of stuff where you see where something happens, where someone ends up going out to the real world and, you know, the air, they die because of radiation or air pollution. Anyway, with Quaid, he gets confronted by Laurie, his so-called fake wife, and Dr. Egma from Recall, who explains that Quaid is still at Recall on Earth, trapped in his fantasy memory. Quaid notices Edgemar is sweating and believes he is real, kills him. Quaid is captured by Rich's men, but Melina rescues him, and Quaid kills Laurie.
Fuck you!
Doug. Honey, you wouldn't hurt me, would you, sweetheart? Sweetheart, be reasonable. After all, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
That was your wife? What a bitch.
Pair escape with taxi driver Benny to Venusville. These mutants then lead them to head to a hidden rebel base where Quaid meets their leader Kyoto, a mutant growing out the abdomen of his brother George. I mean, it is a very fantastical film, and it is a bit strange. But also see it, again, always look at it in tongue-in-cheek because it's an alternative future, so it doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. But Philipkdick, who wrote this, obviously saw these ideas, and actually, I mean, if he was alive, I think he would have liked the adaptation. So, Quato psychically reads Quaid's mind, learning that Cohagen is hiding a 500-year-old alien reactor built into a mountain that, once activated, produces breathable air but could destroy all turbinum. So the thing is, there's actually air on Mars they could use, but they don't want to do that because it means they would actually lose their mining business. So again, this idea of corporations controlling things. Once they ended Cohagen's monopoly over both resources, Benny shoots George, revealing himself to be Cohagen's employee, and Cohagen's forces attack the base, killing the rebels. Kyoto implores Quaid to start the reactor before Richter executes him. Cohagen disables Venus's air supply to slowly suffocate the remaining inhabitants. Quaid and Melina are brought to Cohagen, who explained that Hauser was his close friend who volunteered to become Quaid as an elaborate ruse to bypass the mutant's psychic abilities, infiltrate the rebellion and destroy it. So all this time Quaid is not too sure, or Carl Hauser, what side he's on. Quaid's recall visit has activated him earlier than planned, and Cohagen has been helping him to survive the obvious Richter's pursuit. Cohagen orders Hauser's memories to be restored in Quaid, and Melina to be reprogrammed as a subservient lover, but they manage to escape to the mines below the reactor. Benny, Richter and his men attack them, but the pair outwits them and kills them. Cohagen awaits them in the reactor control room, claiming that activating it will destroy the planet. He sets off an explosion, but Quaid throws it down a tunnel, creating a breach to the Martian surface. This then blows Cohagen out of the service, where he suffocates and dies. Quaid activates the reactor before he and Melina are also blown out. The reactor melts the planet's ice core into gas that bursts onto the surface, forming a breathable atmosphere and saving Quaid, Melina, and the rest of Mars' population. And then once they see this blue sky, Quaid momently wonders if it was all a dream before he and Melina kiss. So the idea is this idea of, does the Neuralink create a new reality, a false reality, or is it a simulation? So this film at the time, as though, again, it was, people didn't take Arnold Schwarzenegger seriously, but actually within this, his actual idea of his confusion and how he understood it and what he tried to do was very interesting. They also did a new Total Recall remake about 2012, I think, which was probably more serious, but didn't have the quaintness of the original. So within this, I think what's interesting about this is the idea of what could happen if we have societies on Mars, how, again, corporate giants or megalomaniacs would actually control it. And this is probably why the idea of going to Mars is something what people fear, because if they see this happen, they believe these people may control it and it end up being like a slave colony and under a form of control. Because on Mars it'd be easier to control because it's a new colony. So I think the film is demonstrating an idea of control aspect. It's also the idea of dreams. Neuralink would probably be very much interesting, the idea of a chip, microchip, and so forth. But anyway, please watch the film. And if you want to see me do any more of these videos, please subscribe, and so I can continue doing these and hopefully get more subscribers. And then I'll obviously describe more films, TV series, things for you to get interest in. And also tell me what you think about the video, things I can improve and so forth. Anyway.